The cage made B.J. Penn a legend. Now a courtroom may decide his next round. 5 arrests since late May, a protective order from his own mother, and a judge-ordered mental health exam that could determine whether one of MMA's most gifted champions even stands trial. If you're feeling deja vu, you should. Back in June, my good friend and the man who built Behind the Lines, Jax, covered this story when it first started unraveling. Back then, we all hoped it was a misunderstanding or maybe a brief run-in with stress. But as summer rolled into fall, it became something darker. Today, we're not talking about another retired fighter going wild. We're talking about what happens when the fight never really leaves you. Before the headlines, B.J. Penn was Hawaii's superhero, the Prodigy, the fearless jiu-jitsu phenom who chose violence at whatever weight class answered the phone. 2-division UFC champion, the first Hawaiian icon to carry an entire state's pride into the Octagon and make the world believe. That's legacy you can't fake. But fighting like B.J. fought has a tab. You pay with cartilage, sleep, memory, and sometimes the way your mind arranges reality. The roar fades, the damage doesn't. Post-UFC life is a quiet most people aren't ready for. You go from 20,000 people chanting your name to hearing the refrigerator buzz at 2 a.m. Penn's later years turned messy. Public dust-ups, that infamous street fight clip.
Punch again, punch again. Stop! Why? Stop it!
And a long slide from untouchable to troubled. His last professional bout was in 2019. After that, the headlines weren't about titles. Still, you hoped it would settle into coaching, surf days, and story time at the gym. It didn't. In 2025, the trouble came home to Hilo. Penn's 79-year-old mother, Lorraine Shin, sought protection, alleging a pattern of harassment and disturbing behavior, belongings missing, locks and cameras tampered with, and confrontations that escalated. A Hawaii judge ultimately granted a 1-year protective order, barring contact and keeping him at least 100 yards away through May 26, 2026. In filings and testimony described by reporters, Shin alleged that Penn believes family members, particularly her, were imposters, a claim associated in coverage with the rare delusional misidentification condition known as Capgras syndrome. That's an allegation in the record. It is not a diagnosis we can independently confirm. What's certain is the court order is real and violations carry consequences. From late May through mid-September, police say Penn was arrested 5 times, including back-to-back days in May and again on September 16th for allegedly violating the protective order at a Hilo property. He posted bail. Each incident stacked pressure on a situation already frayed. In June, in open court, he even acknowledged contacting his mother despite a temporary order, another brick in the legal wall now surrounding this case. On October 8th, Hilo Circuit Court Judge Peter Kubota suspended Penn's 3 pending criminal cases and ordered a mental health examination by Hawaii's Adult Mental Health Division. The court set January 9th as the date to review the findings. Depending on the results, the possibilities range from treatment under state supervision if he's not fit, to proceeding to trial if he is, to mental state defenses if he's found fit but not penal responsible. This is the legal fork that can redefine everything that follows. Penn pushed back in court. How did I go from a smart man to taking a mental health exam? But the judge's order stands. The evaluation will be sealed. The implications will not. Look, let me be real for a second. I've taken my share of shots, not on pay-per-view, small regional shows where the check barely covered gas. After one fight, I lost a week of memory, thought I just overslept. That's how concussions move, quiet. They don't ask permission to rearrange your moods, your patience, your sense of what's real. You smile and say you're fine, because fighters are trained to say they're fine. So when I hear that BJ is seeing imposters, I don't jump to labels. I think about years of head impacts, adrenaline dumps, and a body taught to override alarms. I think about how long combat sports celebrated toughness while barely funding long-term brain study. There's a reason commissions now push baseline tests and follow-ups. It took too many tragedies to get there. Call it punch drunk, call it CTE risk. We don't get definitive answers until after death, which means living athletes exist in limbo. They're told to get help, then told no one can tell them exactly what's wrong. Meanwhile, fans debate sympathy or scorn. That argument misses the point. The price of being the toughest man in the room might be paid when the room is empty. Penn's case isn't proof of any specific diagnosis. It is a flashing beacon for a sport that still asks its legends for one more round after the lights go out.
I shouldn't have came back. I shouldn't have been in the ring tonight.
The question isn't what's wrong with BJ. The better question is, what will the system do for the next BJ before it's too late? So, where does it stand from here? As of now, the protective order keeps him away from his mother through May 2026. He was arrested 5 times between late May and mid-September, with the latest tied to an alleged violation of that order. His criminal cases are on hold pending a court-ordered psychological evaluation, with a review hearing set for January. Those are the facts. What comes next depends on the findings and whether treatment, accountability, or both can help rebuild a life pressed between fame and fallout. He was one of my favorites, the kind of fighter who made you believe in defiance as a way of life. A thinking man's savage. BJ Penn didn't just fight opponents, he fought limits, fought doubt, fought the idea that a man from Hilo couldn't bend the sport to his will. He was that wild flash of genius that reminds you why people still walk into cages searching for something bigger than themselves. But time is undefeated. And mental health, it doesn't care how many belts you've lifted or how many legends you've buried. It creeps in quietly, rewiring the mind of a warrior who spent a lifetime teaching himself not to feel pain. The same fire that made him the Prodigy now burns without direction, eating through memories instead of opponents. I think about fighters like Arturo Gatti, who left the world too soon, and Ricky Hatton, who had to battle his own darkness after the crowd went home. Penn stands in that same hallway now, the long corridor between triumph and tragedy. We can only hope he finds an exit lined with peace instead of flashbulbs, because the sport needs its ghost to stay human. And if there's any justice left in this violent, beautiful game, BJ Penn will find the help he needs and the calm he's earned. It would be a tragedy to lose another warrior to the same demons he once conquered inside the cage. Maybe the hardest opponent isn't across the cage. Maybe it's the silence afterward, the migraines, the mood swings, the memories that don't stitch themselves back together. The public sees toughness, the family sees cost, and somewhere between those two truths stands BJ Penn, still swinging at something he can't choke out. I'm Reggie Cross for Behind the Lines. If you're feeling the vibe, hit that subscribe, and remember, hype fades, legacy don't. Peace.
745